Alright, this is going to be a weekly recap, and it's going to range from the 9th to the 13th last week. Today is a Sunday, right before a new trading week. And I had a total of 12 trades. Only 4 of them were green. This is my first red week in a very long time. The last time I had a red week was last month, June. I guess around the same time period. The only thing that's really good in my favor is that, this red week, in terms of the amount of dollar volume that I traded, which is right here, $6,000 of volume traded, dollar volume, I only lost $6 this week. And if I go to the calendar, this was the day where I just had to really reconsider and think how I should trade the tsunami type morning panic stocks, how to trade them profitably. I've learned a lot from this, at least I'd like to think I have, in that a lot of these setups, which is going to be the first ones that I go over because it is a Monday. In terms of me trying to be profitable, I'm not going to try to go for the bottom anymore. I either am too early trying to get the bottom of a morning panic bounce play on a big tsunami type stock with crazy price action, or when I actually do nail the bottom, I don't actually get executed. My order doesn't get filled. So what's the point of trying to go for the bottom when you actually reach the bottom, you don't get filled? Now maybe I'm just not doing it right, but I think now instead of trying to be Mr. Ego, oh, I got the bottom, let's just try to be profitable. This is the day when I started to think about maybe that 3 ticker rule with those tsunami type stocks, and I think it will help me very gratefully. And I get to with this trading recap go over those stocks and see how the 3 green candle rule could have worked there. I did get a little better towards the end of the week. I could have done a lot better Friday. It could have been very profitable actually, but just a work in progress. It's been a while since I had a red week, but I am happy in the fact once again that of the $6,000 of volume that I traded, of that volume I only lost like 0.01%. It's like not even 1%. It's 0.01. I lost a very small amount. Here, I lost $11, which is more, and I traded half the volume. Here was 16, still half the volume. 39, I traded more volume here, but my percent loss was much better here than it was back there. So I think I'm getting better in that sense, especially because I think I have a new way of trading, again, those types of big tsunami type stocks more profitably. I'm not just feeling lost, like, oh yeah, it's not working so well, I don't know what I should do. No, this is different. I feel like there's a lot of things I could do better that will help me be a lot more profitable, and I do feel confident, a lot more confident, just trading normal morning panic bounce play stocks. So again, 12 trades, 4 of them were green. One was a fat finger mistake. It could have been green, making it 5, but winning percentage was bad, 33%. So that's pretty bad. And the only thing in my favor is that at least on my winning trades, I in theory make more than my average losing trade, but it doesn't help if my winning percentage doesn't let me, is that bad. It won't let me be profitable. I do like this. My average percent gain was 3. My average percent loss was almost 2, so a little different. And in terms of average size, they were about the same, a little larger because I did trade one large $1,200 position back here on that Monday, when I'm gonna just analyze it. In theory, I shouldn't trade, or at least have a less chance of being red on the type of trade with this new mindset I have. Average time in the trade was 1 minute, and average time in a trade that doesn't work was 2 minutes. So maybe the ones that don't work out, I kind of hold the trade, waiting for it to break a risk level, and when it does, I cut losses quickly. In all of these trades, I did not have any issues cutting losses quickly. I just need to get better in terms of what kind of setups I should trade. Again, one fat finger mistake, but I feel like I've learned a lot. Maybe not, but I feel like things are gonna be better. I even had a feeling after last week, you know, being up 118 was like a better looking you know, thing right here. I just felt like something was gonna happen. I'm gonna have a red week, and that's exactly what happened. So what I'm gonna do now is just go over the trades, Tim Lentil style. Before that, in terms of did the setup work or not, it turns out I got an 88, which is a B. One setup really worked. 6 yeses, 3 kindas or eventuallys, 2 nos. And in terms of did I trade well, I did a lot worse, a 76. Maybe that fat finger mistake contributed, but again, let's just go over these trades and see what I can learn from it. It is a bit later in the day. I don't feel perfect. I don't have the best sleep right now, but I should be able to have enough to go through all of this. There's only 12 trades, and the first one was NLST. This is a morning panic bounce play for the 9th. So let's look at NLST for the 9th. Okay, it's a nice stock, higher priced OTC, so it's not really perfect, but you know, it wasn't bad that I picked it on this day where it kind of cracked to this $7 level, or really this $8 level. It just continues a downtrend. You know, it wasn't that bad to consider for a morning panic bounce play. It did come back. Let's look at the 9th, which is right here, and let's just do it from this level. My entry was 624. Let me get rid of these extra zeros. 624, and that was 943. So 943 was back here. Yeah, 624 right here. Right about here was my entry. Again, 943, give or take this level right here. So we did have a bit of a panic. I'm not sure if it was a gap down, but it went from 670 to 615. So there is some range there, because you trade a stock at this price with like 100 shares. So you know, every little cent matters. So again, 43, 624. My exit was 2 minutes later, or I guess now a minute and 45 seconds. 615. So 945, 615. 945, 615. So as you can tell, let me just, nice panic here. I was not there for that, but let's just zoom in a little closer. 45. You see, so I was basically risking wrong right here, and I remember this trade. I was rusty. I will not make that mistake tomorrow. I will be watching this weekly recap video again, so I'm kind of in the mindset for trading, and I don't have this problem where I'm rusty. I should have risked 615. Instead, I was risking 616. As you can see, the wicks right here, 615. We had that wick here. So when I'm in at 43, right, I should have been risking 615 cracking and 614 being on the bid. Instead of that, I accidentally risked 616 because I just wasn't looking perfectly. I was like, if 615 shows up on the bid and is being executed, I have to get out. It should have been 614. That's why I got stopped down here. It looks like it did it one more time, but it did work. We did have a large volume candle right here where it kind of came back. So then when it started dropping back to the level, I didn't think so. I thought it could. I was a little impatient. I wanted this thing to drop back to the lows right here to get in again, but that wasn't the worst thing. The worst thing is that I just risked it wrong. I could have held in the trade, you know, because I never got to 614. It did bounce back from 615 to, what is this level right here, 645. That would have been pretty nice. And it did get past VWAP here. It did stop right at VWAP, and then it downtrended just a little bit, and then it came and broke through. That would have been super nice to sell in the 640s out of curiosity. it still wouldn't have been that perfect percent wise because I could have gotten a better entry. I did wait for it to start downtrending a little, but it did continue to go to that 615 low, which would have helped a little more, but it is a higher priced OTC. I was just risky. Not risky. I was rusty. I shouldn't have been rusty with this trade, and that's really got against my ability to trade this one profitably. That's why I put no. In terms of did I trade it well? Nope, because I was rusty. This is the bloodbath. This is what caused my my 63 dollar loss day right here. Let's go ahead and go over NSAV. Great lessons learned with NSAV, and that was going to be, I believe, what, the 9th, the earliest day? Yeah, the 9th. Okay, NSAV, nice run up. Unfortunately, this thing just dropped super harshly. And I feel bad because this one just really crashed. I mean, it's trying to bounce back, but the way it did that was so disgusting. Unfortunately, some people got trapped who don't know anything about promotions or pump and dumps. But it's, yeah, the way this thing dropped was just brutal. So let's go over this brutal guy right here. I remember this panic right here at pre-market. That was incredible. Let's zoom in. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think we'll cover the entire thing. My first entry. This was a good trade. Yeah, I traded this one well. I cut losses quickly. $400 position. I got in and out the same minute 10:01. So let's look at 10:01, 8:25, and then I got out at 80, almost 80 flat. So what was it again? Yeah, 10:01, 8:25. So let's look at 10:01. This was the little buy and sell I did right here, 10:01, in and out, this little green candle, thinking, okay, maybe the bottom is in, the bottom could be in. It was not in. At the time, it looked like the biggest volume candle. It was the biggest volume candle at that time, and it just didn't work out. I was risking that low, kind of give or take 80. So then when it cracked it here at 10:01, I got in at 10:01, and then as soon as it cracked below that low, between these two candles, I cut the trade immediately. That was a good attempt. There was nothing wrong with that. I wasn't waiting for this thing to, reverse and spike on forward without me. I actually, tried to get in right when the level 2 started to show some kind of a reversal. That was a good trade attempt. It didn't work out, but that was fine. One thing I didn't realize was how much range there was. 80 to 82 was a lot more range than what I thought. That wasn't anything wrong. NSAV again. This one did not work out. This was an attempt at higher low setup. 10:28. I did trade a smaller position. This was a break-even trade. 759 and 31. So let's look at 10:28, 10:31. 10:28 was right here, 759 give or take, and then 31 I sold 759. I did get salty because it kind of broke what was the ceiling back here. It's kind of hard to tell, but it did break the ceiling, but just a little bit, and it head back down. I did have an order right here when this thing started to reverse, but guess what? I did not get executed. And that pisses me off because I think, okay, it's not the bottom, cut losses quickly. Maybe I trade a little tiny bounce, okay, but I always miss the ultimate bottom, whether I just miss it because I've had enough with it, I just want to sit back and watch it, and that's the bottom ultimately, or because of the fact that I just simply missed it, or price action was super sketchy, or I try to place an order. I actually would have been executed, and very happy if it worked, but it didn't. I didn't get filled. This thing had, as you can tell, a little bit of a gap. I think my limit price was still above the gap. I just didn't get executed, and that's what's going to be the 3 green ticker rule. Only 1 green ticker 1, 2, 3. This one right here, I go long at this price right here, 738, give or take. I risk the bottom of the third candle, which is a bit risky, but on these type of tsunami stocks, there's a lot of range. It's very clean in the fact that once it actually does uptrend or downtrend, very clean price action. And I do consider going large. So again, 1, 2, 3 green candles, risk the bottom of the third green candle, 705, 70 cents. I'm in at 73. I have a much larger size, and immediately when it starts looking like we have maybe 2 red candles or 1 red candle, I'll be considering the sell immediately. It did get from that 73 level, give or take, to 79, almost 80. It didn't get to VWAP. That will make it super profitable, I think. You know, and I'll go large. I'm not nailing the absolute bottom, but a lot of these don't seem to have just 3 green candles and fail instantly. It helps a lot if after the third green candle, the next candle is also green, or like a doji looking candle, not a red candle. It seems to be kind of iffy if it has a red candle. When's the next time that we have 3 green candles in a row? We had 2 here that were not that nice. 2 here, didn't get a third one. 2 here. Nope. 1, 2, 3. Red candle right afterwards, so that sketchy price action volume, but you know, that's when I'll be more cautious about entering if the next candle is a red candle. But in theory, it held the bottom of that third green candle, so maybe I could have went long here at this level at 55. And then we did have 1, 2, 3 green candles. This one was another green candle. You risk the top of the third green candle, which is 57. It never got below that level. And we get to 62. And then if I were to have still risked that level, I need to start right clicking. This is a small mouse, but you know, if I have still risked that level back there, I mean, this thing kept uptrending, so that's why I'm gonna try to consider these. It is a bit sketchy, it seems like, when it has 3 green candles and then the next one is a red candle, but it seems like whenever it does that, it's a potential consolidation. This one did fail in that I would have had to have cut losses, you know, because it cracked 675. It got as low as 649, 65. That wouldn't have been too bad, and of course I would have cut losses quickly, so I would have gotten as close as possible to 675. And then it starts to get, you know, a little weird after the end of the day. Also, inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. You know, that's what I'm going to do with these type of stocks. I'm not going to try, oh, I'm going to try here, fail. I'm going to try here, didn't get filled. I'm going to try the higher low. Didn't work out. I got it in and out the same price. I didn't lose anything. Price action was looking horrible, and it did downtrend more. If I get a short selling account on these type of stocks, I could even consider shorting after the third break candle, but that might be hard. You know, 1, 2, 3 candles. You risk the top here, which would be a lot of range actually. A lot of range. It does downtrend. If you held that risk level, you know, that would have been profitable. Or maybe 1, 2, 3. You risk the top here. That could be an idea too on shorting these types of stocks. This one might not have worked out too much. 1, 2, 3. You risk the top of the third one, but it never got higher than that. That would have gotten you into this downtrend or maybe a re-entry. Yeah, I'm going to try that because a lot of these massive tsunami type stocks, even though they're kind of sketchy, they do look somewhat clean looking at it from a distance in terms of the candles. Again, I'm going to consider that 3 ticker rule, long and short maybe in the future. On top of that, inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, that would have been nice too. That's my whole take on this. That was my break-even trade, and this is the one that kind of made the thing really red that Monday. It's because I traded a large size. Percent gain, it's alright. I tried cutting losses quickly. There was going to be some slippage because it broke the day low again, so there was going to be a bit more panic. And I think I was 1 or 2 from the very bottom, maybe just 1. My entry, and yeah, that was because I won a larger size. That's when I realized something is wrong with the way I'm trading these types of stocks. So yeah, let's look at this 1053, 1055. 1053 was 619. 1053 was right here. 1053 right here is 1053 619. I got almost near the top. It just looked like this thing was going to turn around. It didn't turn around, and I got out 655 at 6. Was that 6 flat? Yep, just flat. 1055 was 6. So right here, yeah, I was risking 6, you know. Right here was the bottom, right here was the bottom, and then when I cracked it here, 1055, I got out at 6. It did get as low as 58, so my exit wasn't horrible. I was probably very quick to cut losses as soon as 6 broke, and because that was a new day low, it did kind of offer some slippage, so I kind of had a larger 3% loss, and I did trade a large position size. I shouldn't have done that, trying to be like, oh, this is the bottom, let me go max size. And it did fail here when I tried it, and then I stopped looking at the stock market. I had to go somewhere, and it did do that inverse head and shoulders that I could have traded. It broke 1 more time, 2 more times, so I was 2 from the very bottom at 52. Could you imagine this? I mean, this thing was a 1 cent. It's like a stock that, it's like if you get rid of those zeros and everything, it's like something that goes from 120, like $120 stock, literally drops to 51. Like, what? This thing was crazy, but I think that 3 ticker rule is going to help a lot. Inverse head and shoulders. Shouldn't have traded large there, even though I did cut losses quickly, just because of the fact that, you know, you're just trying to guess a bottom, and that's kind of retarded. I should have maybe waited for that inverse head and shoulders to trade a larger size. I should have just kept with smaller sizes trading, thinking, okay, is the bottom in? But of course, I'm not going to do that anymore with this type of stock price action. This one really got to me. This one pissed me off, but this one was fine. VNTH, second day breakout. Let's look at VNTH for the 9th. Nice sub penny stock. Right about here. Just a nice massive day, going for that breakout over the previous day, which worked. And just to look, it is still trying to hold its highs. In theory, it could do something where it cracks 39. It makes a nice run. This could be a potential long setup for something like that in the future. Not really something I would consider too much for a morning panic bounce play, because it only had 2 green candles. I never thought there was a correlation. 3 green ticker rule, and then at least for morning panic bounce plays, at least big, you know, 3 green days. But yeah, let's look at the 9th back here, and that was later in the day. But it would help if I can also have the 8th. So let's do I have anything bigger than that? Let's do 10 days, 1 minute, right? Yeah, because that goes over this day. I just want to do it like this to show the trade setup I had better. My entry was 152, and that was at 33. Was that an exact? No, it wasn't. 325, and my exit was 32. That was right then and there. I like Schwab because this was actually 33 on the ask, 32 I think was at the bid, and I literally hit the ask, and it just gets me right in the middle. That's nice. I don't know if he'll do that if I trade larger sizes, but this was nice. Let's look at 155. Excuse me, 152, 325. 152. Let me just zoom in a little more if I can do that. 152 right here. Looks like this red candle at 32.5, so that was right about here, 32.5. 152. As you can tell, this thing is right over the day highs. When I was trading it right here, it was just right above it, you know, thinking, is this going to be a continuation? Is it going to be tomorrow a third green day, a nice green day? Is this going to be a nice uptrend? And I just did not hold as long as I could have. It was sketchy price action, but maybe I just need to, I don't know, get a little tougher. 155 I sold at 32. 155 was right here. This red candle, 32. I sold at the bottom, price action sketchy. Next minute it did get a little lower. It did hit 31, but had I have risked maybe 31, or maybe if I was going to be crazy and risk 30, no, that would have been too much of a risk. But yeah, just I guess it should have been a little tougher. I mean, it did hit 31, but I think it was very brief. It did get to 39. This would have actually made back a lot of the losses on Monday, that same day. But yeah, I sold like just 1 minute before it started to really break past this 33 ceiling, and it got as high as 39. That would have been a nice sell at 37. Let me just see if I sold at 37, what that would have been like. Oh yeah, that would have been super profitable percent wise, and in terms of the day, that would have really helped. I still would have been down, I think, Monday, but that would have really helped. I guess that one wasn't too bad because the price action was looking bad. In most cases, maybe in theory it wasn't going to work out, but in this one it did, and it really added to my salt on that day. But that's alright. I think I have something that could work out and help me be more profitable. No longer, again, trying to go for the very bottom, but just trying to be profitable, trading inverse head and shoulders and that 3 ticker rule. And if I'm able to get short anytime soon, which I think will be next month around the 20th, I'll be out of the PDT restriction on my short selling account that I accidentally broke, and I could be able to short those things too. I think NSAV was shortable. I'm not extremely sure. I actually think it wasn't, but some of them, like DPLS, I traded similarly, were always shortable. Let's look at NSAV the next day. This was trying that 3 ticker rule, I think. Yeah, and I just barely held on to it. I put okay instead of a no, just because it's a new setup and it's kind of scary. But let's look at the 10th for NSAV, and we can go back to a regular chart. Alright, NSAV, let's do the 10th, which was disgusting. Was it this day? Yeah, this was this disgusting gap down day. You know, at least I cut losses quickly, because had I not have done that, that would have been really bad. Anyway, let's include this pre-market price action, and let's just highlight most of it. It seems like it just downtrended below VWAP at some point, but yeah, let's do it from here. Excuse me. Small size, by the way, 1009, 279, 1009. So I didn't trade any of this. Immediately just bounced back. Those are always scary, but when I want a morning panic bounce play and the stock has a gap down, they seem to actually work, but they're just kind of sketchy. Maybe I just need to get used to it. But this one was one where I had most of the volume traded in this one candle. I feel like promoters just bought up all the panic sellers, market selling from the other day, just all the selling. They just absorbed all of that volume, and now they just started to slowly sell into this uptrend. I bet they still have shares. Very unethical, you know, very easy way to get the SEC on you just because of the way it dropped so much. But I think they didn't have that. I mean, I'm guessing. Maybe there's not even promoters involved with this, but if I had to guess, I feel like, you know, they did not have much control over the stock because of how much it downtraded. Because apparently the website that came out looked horrible. Let's look at 1009, 279. So that was right here, 1009, 279. So I did buy this on the red candle. Here was 3 green candles, 1, 2, 3. I missed this, but it was sketchy. If I were to have risked the bottom of the green candle at 25, I would have held through this, and then I would have been profitable now at 28. and then it continues the uptrend, right? That would have been profitable, but I traded this set of 3 green tickers instead. I bought again at this candle right here at 279. I don't think when I was first trying this I had in mind the idea of risking the bottom of the 3rd green candle, so I think that really added to why I wasn't able to really hold on to it. But my entry again was right here, 279. My sell was 11.2865. So right here, 11.2865. 2865. Yeah, 2865 at 11. Yep, very small, very profitable, but you know, almost 3%, $7, tiny $279 position. I mean, from that level right here, 279, so 28 cents. I know it's not 28 cents, but 2.8 cents. It got as high as 338. I mean, that's super profitable. That was a lot of. I would have never sold the top, but let me just see what 338 would have been. Yeah, that would have been a 20% move. That's why I put big yes in whether or not the setup worked. You know, I put a huge yes because it was more than 15%. I give or take put big yes if it's more than 15. Minimum at least 21%. That would have been super profitable on a tiny $280 position. Yeah, that was an example of that 3 ticker rule working here. And out of curiosity, I mean, it did work here, but I was too hesitant. I think this candle was too sketchy, but here, 1, 2, 3, you risk the low. I might have had to have cut right here because this one got right below it, but it did uptrend, but that's totally fine. It did try again here, 1, 2, 3. You risk the bottom. It would have been right at the level, so it seems to do that a lot, just right at the level of the previous candle, but it did go from 25 to 29, so that would have been a lot more range. 31 was the top. Yeah. Well, actually, wait. Here was the first green candle. 1, 2, 3. You risk the bottom. Actually, yeah, this is what I was talking about that day. This one would have been super profitable because I would have been in at 20, and the thing went to 30. So, almost 31. So, just because it worked here so perfectly doesn't mean it's gonna work, you know, 5 months from now. So I have to keep adapting, but that's what I have in mind with this type of setup. Nice that I tried it here, even though I didn't hold it very long. I don't think back then I had the idea of risking the bottom of the 3rd candle. RGBP, morning panic bounce play. This is when I feel like it started to get a lot better, and this one threw me off and just how well this thing worked. But this one threw me off even more and how well this nicely works. HPIL. Let's look at RGBP, morning panic bounce play for the 11th. The 11th, you can sell, as you can see, is a nice one. Kind of degenerate here, but you know, it was working nicely. First red day, nice uptrend from this 13 level as high as, you know, 30. So there is definitely nice range. Let's look at the 11th, which is back here. Let's do it from here. That should be good. And my entry was 936. I sold the next minute. 936, 247. 936 was right here. 247 was my entry right here. I wanted to go larger, but I was not able to get my full position size. I just kept hitting the ask, and then morning panic bounce play kind of dropped here. Okay, maybe if it turns around, you know, downtrends even more. And then I thought, okay, this might work, you know, I can risk, give or take. I think I was risking 245 breaking. And again, I get in at 247, so very close to my risk level, which means I should trade larger. And I was actually thinking of going a larger size here. Again, I wanted 50,000 shares, but instead I got 31.8. Right? Yeah, 31.8. which was fine. And I was actually thinking of a $2,000 position trade back here, thinking I can risk, you know, 248 right here, and that is going to turn around. Not a clear big volume candle, but we kind of had one here. But when it cracked it and just went one more level lower, I thought, okay, maybe this thing is not going to be that perfect, because it kind of cracked it. It's not really meant to do that. So I did think about a $1,200 position. I didn't get my full execution, but again, I got in at 247, and that was a $785 position. And I sold 937 again the next minute at 261. This was like crazy. 261 right here. I actually sold this thing at the very top. I didn't think I was going to get the very top, but it kept uptrending. The bid and the ask just kind of drifted into a new level. I guess it traded a lot of volume, and I sold the very top. That was pretty incredible. It just worked that well. It did do a lower low. I did miss this lower low. It could have been nice because it was it seemed more liquid here because it had better looking candles compared to this dryness, and I could have done something where maybe I could have risked 235, and I'm in at like 237 as well. And yeah, that would have been profitable because it would have gone to VWAP at 248, 237, 248. So just a little bit nicer, and of course it did get to 26, so that would have been nice. But at least I did trade this one. At least I did try to push myself and trade a larger size. It was a nice sell back there, and yeah, I was happy with the way I traded this one. And yeah, I didn't like how it was a quick uptrend right here, immediate. I wanted something slow and gradual like this. Instead, we just had a big spike past VWAP, so I said, alright, I've seen this before, I'm going to sell into that quickly. Sometimes it does come back and try again, but this case it just downtrended. I'll always sell, in theory, if it just has a crazy spike past VWAP like that. That's, you know, not gradual at all. NSAV, I did try this 3 ticker rule thing. I would have been profitable, but this was a fat finger trade. And I bought, and then I sold. I thought I sold, but I actually bought again, and then when I realized that I sold, and that one really sucked. That's why I put no here, fat finger mistake. Let's look at NSAV for the 11th, and this was at 3 ticker rule. I put 3 ticker long. I might do 3 ticker short if, you know, if I'm able to. Let's just do it from the 11th right here. Wait, so was it still this crazy big gap down day? Oh no, it was the second day when it started to try to bounce back, and it did try again, you know, a third day, but now it's back down. It's really sad, but I don't know. I mean, at least the people who got stuck in LTNC had plenty of time to sell. This was just brutal. Let's look at the 11th. A good lesson though. You know, trading pump and dumps. The 11th was right here. Now let's look at the 11th back here. It's a nice uptrend, as you can tell. It just really tried to come back, and it did a not bad job compared to what it, you know, KYNC in comparison to that one. NSAV just looks like trash, but 3 ticker rule, I got in. This was a $300 position. Traded a very round number of 10,000 shares. My first entry was 1021. Let's just base it off of my first entry, because in theory I had 2 entries. 1021, and I'm pretty sure I was in at 31. So let's look at 1021, 31. 1021, which was way back here, right here, 1021. So was it really 1021? 1021.35. 1021 was my entry here. So I guess in theory, 1, 2, 3 tickers. I didn't get in here. I guess I got scared, but I did get in here right when the candle started, I guess, right? 1021. No, halfway into that candle. So again, first, second, third green candle, you risk the low of that green candle. and 1021 was right here, my entry at 31. And I did sell like at 318. Well, I thought I sold, but I accidentally bought again at 318. And then when I actually realized what happened, that was 1023, and that was at 31. So 1023.31 right there, yeah. All right. Now there was, yeah, right here would have probably have considered cutting losses. Maybe, actually, no. Again, okay, that's something I'm learning. You know, if I want to do the 3 ticker rule, sometimes it's gonna drop right at the very freaking bottom of that third green candle. But at least now, I guess in theory, I can be prepared for that. If it cracks, obviously I'm gonna sell. But yeah, I did sell at 23, and it was a loss. Fat finger mistake. I could have had an entry at 31 and sold at 31.8 for a small profit. Again, because I was too scared, you know, not wanting to risk the bottom of the third green candle, or at least maybe back then I was just more scared. Maybe I still wasn't completely in mind with that risk level, the bottom of the third green candle. So this one went right at that low. You know, maybe it went right below it. I mean, does it say right here? Does it say the higher the low, like each trade? I'd have to configure that. It did turn around to 32, but sketchy price action. I would have had to have cut it eventually back here, but again, you know, I was just kind of late to it, still being a chicken about it. You know, 1 2 3, you get in, you risk the bottom here, you're in at 271, I guess the 282, and then this one had 2. Maybe if it has 2 red candles, even with a doji in the middle, I'll consider selling. It all depends on the price action. And then here, 1 2 3, and then you're in here at 291. I guess a 3. Again, I'm trading large size because I know it might not be the perfect, cleanest run up, and it's going to be sketchy like it is back here. And this is the one I did trade. The next time this thing would have worked out would have been right here, but this would have been hard with these sketchy wicks. I probably would have skipped the 1 2 3. I'm not going to risk the bottom of this. That would be stupid. I'd probably risk 3 112, and this one drops right at that risk level. I guess you can't be a chicken about it. And then it did get from 31 to 33. So that would have at least offered some profit for that freak out. I would not have risked this one. This would have been like here, because this would have been like the range low. 1 2 3. And then here I'm in at 335, 1 red candle. It gets to 35, so that would have been a lot more profitable here. But all of these seem to be working, even though they seem sketchy, because a lot of them drop right at your risk level, but it doesn't crack it. 1 2 3, again in at 335, 33 to 35. Even here it's still holding the high. You know, it's holding higher than that risk level. That would have been profitable. And this one, 1 2 3, and then I'm in at 361. I mean, before we saw a red candle, I got the 40, so that would have been profitable. And the highest here would have been 41.8. And then here I would have traded the inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. Probably just chicken down. I could have been in at maybe 365. And then it did get as high as 398 over a long period of time. But even this, a sell at 38 wouldn't have been bad. So yeah, 3 ticker rule seems to be something that could work. And I want to short, you know, this, because this would be something that could bounce back. That would not be something I would do on this type of day. But in terms of longs, it seems like this thing overall works. More often than not, it helps if the next candle is a doji candle or a small green candle than a red candle, because sometimes if it's a red candle, it might trade in the range and eventually crack below it or crack above it. And it seems like a lot of these drop right at that level, right at the risk level, but then it makes a move. And that would help me You know, maybe not. Oh yeah, my ego, I got in right here, man. What's up? 241. Yeah, I sold at 42 or some crazy stuff like that. But it would help me, you know, maybe get myself in a position where there's a high odds chance that this thing is going to continue uptrending because they had 3 green candles in a row. I can go a larger size, and you know it can be very profitable. And then on inverse hand and shoulders, I'll consider even larger sizes because these things really seem to work nicely on LTCs here. So fat finger mistake here. Just need to stop being scared, especially now that I have a risk level in mind, a clear one. Before I would just risk price action, and that's kind of scary. Let's look at the 11th. I traded RGBP, inverse head and shoulders. Did not really trade a large size because it was speculative and low volume. That makes sense. So let's look at RGBP for the 11th. Let's just do it from right here. It's probably gonna look retarded, yeah. I did not use that word. I know that word is no longer a word that should be used. It's a very mean word, so I'll stop. I'm talking about stocks, not people. This is the 11th. Second red day. Nice run up. The 11th. I don't know when exactly I traded it, so let's just do this. I'm pretty sure it was near the morning though. This would have been it, I think. Yeah, this would have been it. Shoulder head. I think I traded maybe here somewhere the shoulder. This one did not work out. My entry was 1048, 247. 1048 was back here. This red candle, 247. Right here was my entry. You know, maybe shoulder, head, shoulder. As you can tell, sketchy volume. Very disgusting looking, but you know, that was my idea there. I can trade stuff like that with a larger position size, a larger account. But I guess right now it's not really the worst. I can practice. This one I held for 5 minutes until it cracked my risk level. And my sell was at 1053, 245. 1053. Yep, 245. So I was risking this range right here. 246, it kind of held itself, but right here 1053, when it breaks it, right, 1053, yeah, 1053, when it breaks that little range, let me zoom in a little more, why not? I was risking this range again, 246, and then here 1053, when it cracks it, bam, I sell at 245. You know, that's it. And it did downtrend the rest of the day. It did look, you know, bad. It just kept downtrending from right here. Kind of cracks it. I mean, it kept going lower. So very good trade attempt, even though it wasn't the best setup because the volume was bad. Inverse head and shoulders tend to work very nicely, like I showed with NSAV that same day. I think, right? NSAV the same day. Yeah, the same day NSAV, but you know, it needs the volume to really do something like that. I traded the next day, again RGBP, and this was a morning panic bounce play. This is when I started to learn that these things aren't playing as quickly as I would like it to, although HPIL did exactly what I wanted it to be like with RGBP. Let's look at RGBP for the 12th morning panic bounce play. So it was the next day, third red day. Less likely to be, you know, consistent. Let's look at the 12th, which was right here. Since it was a morning panic bounce play, let's just do it from this half. And a few more right about there when it opened. 217, 945. So 945 was right here. 217, that wasn't really that bad. It wasn't perfect because 217, I guess there was some range with the VWAP right here because that's always a price target. Not very clean looking, not really the best setup. I'm gonna guess I was risking 215 and I sold 948, 213.7, 948. Yep, I sold right here when it cracked this 215 level, and my sell was what? My sell was 213.7. So that was right here. Yeah, right about there. So I sold when I just cracked the low. You know, it did have a big volume candle here, and then it kind of looked like it might have turned around. I've learned to stay away from this price action, although this looks a lot like it, so maybe not. It did turn around eventually. I mean, best case 205 to 217. Didn't even touch VWAP. Yeah, this is one. It was the third red day, not clean. The volume doesn't seem nice. At least I tried. You know, I cut losses quickly when the range low breaks. I wasn't gonna risk here. I was gonna risk here because they held it more. This level right here, you know, held it 1, 2, 3 candles. But yeah, I sold right there 948. I guess I was maybe a little skeptical here. I sold at 948 when they cracked it, like, you know, for real. Got my alarm. Let me. Sorry about that. That was my alarm. Anyway, that's my alarm to consider sleeping, which I never do. Not the worst setup, but probably could have traded something better. I put eventually because it did turn around, but I could have traded a better setup, honestly. HPI, this one threw me off so hard. HPIL for the 13th. This was the last day of the week, I believe. Yes, it was. HPIL. Let's go to the 13th. Again, the last day. So nice run up. I mean, honestly, you know, nice, and then it gets a bit higher. Never really cracked at this 1 cent level, but maybe it could later. Who knows? But again, let's look at the 13th for that morning penny bounce play. It wasn't bad because it went from 44 sub penny to I guess it did touch 1 penny, so that's a nice range. That's like a double right there. So not something wrong at all. And they did have 3 green candles, although this one a bit sketchy. It still was 3 green candles if you ask me. Let's do it right here. Yeah, that's fine. My entry was 940. I saw the next minute 947.95. So 940 was this one. I was waiting for this one to show signs that it was turning around. This thing was dropping. It was looking so nice, so clean. I kept increasing my position size. In theory, to trade larger because it was just looking that nice. I eventually went to a $600 position. I could have traded even larger because honestly, I'm in at 795, which is basically 80. I'm risking 79, so I'm literally risking 1 tick. And I know there's a fear that, okay, I'm in at 80, I'm gonna risk 79, and you know, maybe I won't go that large because even though I'm so close to my risk level, maybe it cracks, you know, 790, then it like 74 is at the bid and it just has a big drop, and that really sucks. But no. It had 2 little wicks right here showing that this thing at least has some kind of support. If it were to crack in theory 79, maybe not, but in terms of odds, the odds are there that it's going to be support at 78. So it won't go from like 79 to 74. It's going to be support at 78. So anyway, you know, basically 80. 795 is pretty much 80. Right when it looked like it was starting to turn around, and it did turn around. I mean, look at this. It went from again, in theory, 80 to freaking 84. Just immediately worked that well. And it worked so nicely that it actually threw me off, and I saw the next minute at 810. And if I, in theory, sold at 84, what would that have been like? Or let's just put 83. Yeah, that would have been a little better in terms of percent gain, and that would have been a lot more profitable. I mean, what is that again? 12 to 28. But that's totally fine. Yeah, it just worked so nicely. It kind of threw me off. And then I shouldn't have done this, but we did get this right here. And I didn't trade it because I wanted a lower low, but this ended up being the double bottom. Sometimes I like lower lows because they work more often. Double bottoms not so much, but I could have went in again at 80, right? Or maybe, I guess maybe in this range. It doesn't. I don't remember. I have to go back and see what the levels were that I was thinking about. It could have been at 81. It did get to 84 consistently. It could have been at 84. It held VWAP too. I even thought about the fact that this thing is holding VWAP and it might even try to uptrend, and it did. It went to 89 from 82. Super nice stock. I mean, the volume isn't always perfectly nice, but this thing just worked, and I'm just really happy that it worked. This is exactly a morning panic bounce play setup that I first saw many months ago, and I've been trying to get better at since. It doesn't seem like it's been happening too much, and then we get the big tsunami type stocks like NSAV. But this was it. This was super clean. I hope we can get more of these and I can be more prepared. I can trade in theory, if it looks this nice again or maybe even nicer, I can consider a larger size just because it looks that nice. Of course, I don't want to, oh, I'm going to go large and then it doesn't work out. That sucks. But in theory, in terms of odds, this one was very nice and I just got thrown off. Last trade, Viper, VPER. First dip towards VWAP. I actually recorded this one live. VPER, first day. Let's just do it from here, sure. Yeah, it went up because of breaking news, as you can tell. Very, very nice looking. Anyway, my entry was right back there. The time, 10:32, 113. So 10:32 was right here. Let's zoom in a little more. Why not? It just kind of held VWAP the rest of the day. 10:32, which was this red candle right here. I remember I was seeing this because it had a nice spike, breaking news alert, and then it drops. I thought in theory, okay, this thing could drop and hit VWAP, and then I'll play that setup. Right here was actually trying to hold above VWAP, but I wanted it to be at VWAP. Sometimes it gets right above VWAP and then bounces. That would have been fine if I were to have missed it. But we did get an opportunity. It did drop towards VWAP, and I got in at 32.13. I hit the ask, and I sold at 34 at 11.65. 34. I could have held on to it longer, honestly. I sold at 11.65. It did get as high as 20, but it was trading this range here between 18 at the top and what was it, 16 at the bottom. It did break past on the upside. Maybe I could have sold half here and then sell the other half when it looks like it's trying to turn around after it broke past it, or the other half if it broke under 16 and still try to get above 13 as my sell and then be profitable in that aspect. But when I rewatched my live trade, and any of you who are watching this, if you just go to the 13th, a video I uploaded on the 13th, you can see the live trade. I got in at 13, and the ask was 45. Had 45,000 shares. I bought 20,000 shares, so it dropped to 25,000 shares. So if I were to have tried a larger position size, I really couldn't have only have done maybe like a $500 position max. But I saw a lot of volume go through at 11 with the 3-1, so 11-1. A crap ton of volume went there. A lot of volume went there. So I guess in the future, in theory, for me to trade these with more, with a larger dollar position size, I should consider, having an order at the bid, because a lot of size went through, a lot of volume went through at the bid, and it's not just even a larger position size, but a better price too. 13, there was a 45,000 seller. I took 20,000 shares. So again, in theory, a $500 position. If I took out the entire person on the ask, which was a real position size. I know there's like fake size on the ask, but this one was real. It did drop immediately after I bought some. It shows in the video when I was trading it live. So that's something, and that's also something with morning panic bounce plays. It's sketchy, but you have your price there at the bid because you have a better chance of getting executed. People who are panic selling into your bid, and hopefully that level that you're in, is not going to break, or at least, if it does break, it doesn't break below your risk level. So that's a higher level type of trading that I'm nowhere near. I still have a lot of room for improvement. Obviously, I have a lot of things I need to get better at. I could have traded that double bottom with HPIL. I could have just traded, in theory, HPIL better, but I don't mind it too much because it just threw me off because I haven't seen it work perfectly like that in a while. That's why I put okay instead of no. Again, I had a similar thing with RGBP where it just really worked, but I did sell it at the top because that's something I'll always do. If it breaks past VWAP, which HPIL didn't do back when I was selling, If it breaks past VWAP, just a big crazy spike, I need to sell immediately into that. That's why I put yes. And here I put okay because it didn't get past VWAP. If it did do that crazy spike and 81 was VWAP, that would have been fine. So I'm going to try that 3-ticker rule, large size, in and out quickly, just to trade profitably, not egotistically trying to get the bottom and show off, oh yeah, I got the bottom, what's up. I try, you know, like, it's not like I'm an idiot. I do see when the bottom is in on a lot of them, but I just don't get executed because I guess everybody else sees it too. And then, you know, I get those paper cuts trying to nail the bottom in all the other moments. So I get a bunch of paper cut losses trying to get the bottom. And then when the bottom is there, which would make everything back and more, I don't get filled, or I just don't actually see the bottom. It does some weird price action, or maybe the bottom was there and then it just went right a little lower and then it turned around ultimately. So, you know, crazy stuff like that. So on those type of tsunami type stocks like NSAV recently, I'm going to consider that 3-ticker rule, and in the future I'll see if it's something I could do for shorting. It looks like with that 3-ticker rule, a lot of them drop right at the risk level, which sucks, but it doesn't break under it, which helps a lot. I could go large, you know, just because it's just quickly in and out. If it's a red candle right after 3 green candles, it's going to be a little sketchy. Not the best odds, so maybe I'll go half my anticipated size. It helps a lot if it's a doji candle or a green candle, because those seem to show a immediate follow-up price action, not just, you know, maybe a red candle and it just consolidates and then it moves in. It's kind of nerve-wracking, and sometimes it does break under it. So that's what I have in mind. Morning panic bounce plays. You know, I need to differentiate between a regular morning panic bounce play like that last one with HPIL, or a tsunami type morning panic stock like NSAV. Because then I can't do the 3-ticker rule with HPIL on that day. For example, the one I just showed, that would not work out, because, you know, that might be all I can do. 3 green candles. So a lot of room for improvement. Despite the fact that I traded $6,000 worth of volume, just a tiny $6 loss on the week, totally fine. A lot of missed trade opportunities. I did try the 3-ticker rule, wasn't really sure about risking the bottom of the 3rd green candle. I didn't have that in mind. That could have helped me be more profitable. I did do good on all the other trades except for that fat finger mistake trade. I just have to keep going. I have a lot of things I need to get better at, but at least, you know, I did well cutting losses on all of these basically. That didn't work. Just again, a lot of things I need to get better at. Let's just put this 88.76. 88.76. I just have a lot of room for improvement, but let's see if I can keep going. I'm thankful to God for these lessons. Without this journaling, I would not know where I'm at, what's going on. Well, I probably would have given up by now. I don't know. I'll just have to keep going, but yeah, a lot of new lessons. Hopefully, maybe I can try that 3-ticker rule sometime in the future. Next month, I'll be able to short sell. Probably for the better. I haven't been able to trade because I broke PDT short selling. So that's all I got. What can I say? I look forward to next week, tomorrow, and tomorrow I will be rewatching this. Of course, I can't watch the entire thing before the market open, but you know, no more rustiness. That's at least one thing. I can at least not be rusty Monday. In theory, maybe I'll screw up again, but I think I have a lot of things in mind that can continue to help me to keep going forward.